Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to A Walk in My Shoes. My name is Daniel. I'll be your host today. I have great news because I have a great guest here today with us. Her name is Liz Tucker. She is a pharmacist, and she is here taking time from her day. Liz, hey, how are you? Thank you for being here with us.
Hey, I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, it's awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So let's, if you could just give us an overview as far as your career or what you do, just, what you do, beginning, end.
Sure, no problem. So I'm what they consider a clinical pharmacist. I work at a relatively small hospital just south of Wheeling, West Virginia. I've actually had quite a few different roles over the years. Just recently, around October, my hospital shut down where I had been a clinical pharmacist on the floors. I worked with a lot of medical residents. I helped teach them, helped teach a lot of doctors. I rounded in the ICU, talked to patients all the time about different medical conditions, talk to them about their medications. Then I transitioned to the position I'm in now. I actually got to start working with a former boss again. And now my role shifted. I'm still a clinical pharmacist, but I actually get to be more involved in checking chemotherapy. I've started going back to helping out with some of the retail side of pharmacy because we fill prescriptions for our employees there. I still look at patients' charts. And when I say charts, it means basically that our computer system keeps track of the medical conditions that they have, the medications that they're on, why they're at the hospital. And I'm looking over all of that just to make sure that the medications make sense for them, that they're staying safe, help the doctors out with any questions, help them pick the right antibiotics, just all kinds of different things. So I'm pretty flexible in my position. I get to do a lot of what I want as long as it's still revolved around keeping people safe with their medications. And I'll eventually, after COVID-19 is over, I'll get to talk to them up on the floors again too.
That's amazing. Wow, you do so much. Like, you went into like the whole thing. Like, and that's what, of course, that's what I asked for. So, give us a typical day as far as when you go to work or before. Let's just say before. No, let's do it right now. Now that with this whole COVID-19, what is it that you do from the moment you start work to the end?
Sure. With COVID-19, the position I'm currently in, I'm generally in the main hospital pharmacy rather than up on the floor. So COVID-19 right now is kind of limiting me from being able to go to all the patients' rooms and talking to them due to a lack of the personal protective equipment for all the staff to be used all the time. So mainly when I go into the pharmacy, I'm checking any medication orders that the doctors are ordering for their patients. I'm looking at the patient's charts to see what's going on, what's making sense for them, try to make sure that their home medication list is up to date, and I help out wherever I can, really. So I'm checking those orders, I'm watching cameras, watching my technicians make chemotherapy, making sure that they're making it appropriately and safely. I check all of the IV medications, different things like that. Now with COVID-19, I'm also sitting in the pharmacy wearing a mask all day, both for my protection and to protect my patients. Knowing that I'm younger, I don't have a lot of medical conditions to be worried about. I'm always trying to think of the fact that I could be asymptomatic. So I'm trying to do my best to keep everyone safe around me. I try to make sure that the counters are clean, make sure my technicians are wearing masks when they go to the floors, just to keep everyone safe around us.
That's so you said that the hospital you were working in closed. Was that because of COVID-19, or was that because of something else?
It actually was not. The hospital I worked at before was in Wheeling, West Virginia. And it was kind of a large and it closed down.
Wow, this is good stuff. This is really awesome, because now the more you talk, the more I have questions, and I bet the people that are listening to right now are having questions. By the way, this show has been brought to us by AMP, Achieve More and Prosper. So hashtag level up with AMP. Thank you, AMP. So let's go with your background. So where did you grow up? Where'd you go to school? And just give us that path.
Sure. Well, I grew up just outside of Lancaster, Ohio. I
Okay.
went to some of the local Catholic schools. I graduated from Fisher Catholic. Um,
Okay.
I lived on a small farm all my life. I was involved in things like 4-H and soccer, band, different things like that. I tried to
Oh,
stay
that's
kind of
awesome.
well-rounded
Good.
and pick things that would, yeah, I tried to pick things that I could stick with a good group of friends and be involved in a variety of things, enjoy my time while I was in school, but still focus on my studies too. I stayed pretty involved in church. And then after high school, I went on to Ohio Northern University, and that's where I got my degree in pharmacy. And then from there, I went and did a residency for a year where I got to kind
Hmm.
of pick what I wanted to focus more on and practiced up in Akron, Ohio, and was able to graduate that residency. And my field of options really opened after having that residency. And I picked a hospital in Wheeling, which is the
Wow.
hospital that just closed down. I was there for a few years, and was very blessed. It was a dream job when I graduated. I still have a great job now.
Yeah. So when did you decide that's what you wanted to do, or was it somebody talked to you about it, or is it you saw someone?
It's a great question. To be honest, like probably many people watching, I really didn't know what I wanted to do when I graduated high school. I tried to think back on things that I enjoyed, and I knew I really liked science, and I knew I really liked to help people, and I wanted to find something where I could kind of marry the two things. Um, Initially, I thought I would want to be an engineer, but I actually had a soccer coach who had a family member that was a pharmacist, and he kept trying to tell me, hey, you'd make a good pharmacist, or he would catch my mom at a soccer game, or if she happened to come to school and say, hey, Liz should really look into pharmacy. So he kind of put that plug in there. And when I toured different schools, trying to pick which college I wanted to go to, I talked to some of the people in the pharmacy programs, and I talked to people in engineering programs, and ended up praying about it a lot and decided on pharmacy.
So, because like to me, they've been like my parents. I have family talking. You would do really good at this, or the way your
Yeah.
personality is this. So, like my dad would say, be a psychologist. You're a psychologist, and I'm like, Dad, that's not what you would do great. So once I studied or looked into it, I'm like, Hunt, I don't. Did that ever happen? Like as far as like they were telling you, hey, into pharmacy, and then you looked in, and you're like, you know what, this is actually pretty interesting, or was it hard for you to just run with it?
Yeah, in high school, I
Or
actually was able to shadow a few different people, and I really encourage anyone out there trying to decide what they want to do that. Our local hospital had a program where you could shadow different nurses or lab technicians just to kind of get a feel for what they do. That helped a lot. It helped me realize what I did not want to do, and some of the things that I was interested in too. So anyone that's looking, say, hey, maybe I want to be a pharmacist, I encourage you to check it out, see if someone will let you shadow. Keep in mind there are a lot of different kinds of pharmacy. Um, retail pharmacists that work at places like Kroger or Walgreens versus someone
yes,
that works in a hospital, we do very different things.
which
There are
one?
also people that work in research that are pharmacists, those kind of things. But yeah, any job that you're looking at, I really encourage you to, just kind of look at your options. Consider looking on job websites like Indeed, see what kind of jobs are available out there before you get started, see if it's something you might be
Yeah. Oh
interested
yeah, I
in.
bet.
Um,
And so, how much
oh,
like was it? Like, did it cost like for school and the whole process? Is that?
you probably don't want to know, but it
Oh,
depends. It really just depends on where you go.
you're a.
It depends on where
That's
you go
awesome.
and how many scholarships you're able to get. Um,
That's
so
awesome. I
working
like
hard
that.
really pays off. I was very blessed in that working hard in school, getting good
Yeah.
grades, trying to stay well-rounded, staying focused, that was able to help me get scholarships, not just to enter into college, but also throughout college. When I kept up the good work, kept up good grades throughout college, I was able to earn additional scholarships. And it's definitely very feasible, you know, if you set your mind to it, that you can get a lot of assistance out there. There are a lot of different assistance programs.
And that's what I do. You know, I host an On Your Left exercise, and I tell them, look, if you set your mind to it, you'll talk differently and you'll start act differently, you know, and
absolutely,
it helps. It really does help.
Yeah.
So, Liz, can you?
And some schools offer free rides. There's just all kinds of opportunities out there.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's really good. That's really good to know. We just got to look. We got to seek, and then we'll find.
Exactly.
I've noticed on your name it says Liz Tucker, and then it has PharmD BCPS. Does that?
Yes.
Can you explain what that means, or is that just your favorite letters?
Sure. A little bit of alphabet soup there. So yeah. PharmD means that I have a doctorate in pharmacy. So technically, people could call me doctor if they wanted to, but I'm a pretty laid back person. I like to go by Liz. The BCPS, that means that I've studied and obtained an additional certification in pharmacotherapy. So basically, most positions, they require you to do continuing education. So you're sort of in school, you know, throughout your life, just making sure you're keeping up your skills, that they give you easy ways to digest, you know, some of the new things that are out there, whatever you do. And then this certification was a way that I basically took a more intensive track, and I have to do a little bit more intensive continuing education to keep up the skills.
Good. So is there a recurrent training you have to do, or things you have to look up, just as maybe new medicines coming up or something different is coming?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Aside from just the continuing education, the world of medicine is something that's constantly changing. So really any position that you have in medicine, whether you want to be a doctor or a nurse or a pharmacist, even a lab technician, really anything that's out there, you have to kind of keep up with the current trends. Be similar probably to someone that's in IT, where there are constantly new platforms coming out, constantly new updates. So just taking the time when you can to familiarize yourself.
So that is up to you.
There are different clubs out there that'll help with that. Go ahead, Dina.
No, I'm sorry. So is that something you take upon yourself, or is it like they're telling you, guys, this is a new medicine, or this is something you need to do research on? Does that make sense?
It's a little bit of both, to be honest. As a clinical pharmacist, I have the role at my hospital of helping out the director of my program decide on whether or not we should add a new medication to formulary, meaning whether or not we should purchase it for a hospital to keep on hand to see, you know, is it worth the cost, basically? Is the cost benefit there, or is it something that, you know, maybe it's not as good as some other medications, or if it's something that someone should just be using outside of the hospital instead of taking on that cost. So in that sense, yes. Sometimes I'm giving something specific to look into. In other cases, I just try to make sure that I'm staying up on new medications, whether I'm reading journals, medication articles that come out in medical journals. Sometimes, you know, it's medications flashing across your TV screen on commercials, causing me to look into it, or someone comes up with a question, when a doctor hears about a new medication from a drug rep and wants to know more about it. So just trying to stay on top of things so that I can help people the best I can.
That is so awesome. What amazes me is that you're responsible to know each thing and know, you know, I'm reading here that you have an extensive knowledge of prescription medicines, you know, on how they work, how to take them, how they might affect people, and how does it interact with other drugs. You know, that is like, you know, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
Explain your first day working, like when you said, they said, okay, here we go, here's your first day. Explain through your emotions, your thoughts, you know, what were you doing, you know?
Yeah, no one's asked me that before. It's a good question. I guess my first day as a pharmacist was kind of a little bit of a shock. When I was in school, they teach you all these different things about what to expect, the different medications, different side effects, but they don't really teach you, okay, this is exactly what's going to happen in your day. This is who you're going to meet. This is how you talk to different kinds of patients who have all kinds of different personalities. This is how you talk to doctors with all kinds of personalities, those who like pharmacists and those that think pharmacists aren't worth their time. So I was nervous. I was very nervous. But, with each day, I get more and more confident that I know that I'm never going to know everything, and that's okay. Any field you're in,
Yes.
that's okay. As long as you know where your resources are, who you can turn to for guidance. In the medicine field, there are different programs that help you check for drug interactions to help you look things up,
Oh,
so you don't
good,
have to
good.
memorize everything with you. So you can focus on the patient more than trying to retain everything in your head.
Yeah, exactly. Because I'm like, you really have to just know if they ask for some sort of prescription right away. These people, like when I go and they're like right away, they tell me, oh, this is the effects, this is what it does, this is when to take it, and it's like, if it's my first day, what do you do? But that's awesome. I'm glad that there's like a cheat sheet, something to help you out to
Yeah. And
know that
with
kind of stuff.
any position, really, it's always okay. Remember, you don't have to know everything. It's okay to tell people, hey, let me check into that and I'll get right back with you. And as long as you follow up on it, that's no problem at all. In fact, a lot of people really respect you for that you take the time to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it means a lot. Like, oh wow, they're taking time for me. That's awesome.
Yeah.
How much do you have to deal with like the whole insurance? Are you, like looking up, or like when people, oh, my insurance is supposed to pay that, well, they haven't paid it. How much time do you spend with them?
That's another good question. Well, for me in the hospital, I don't have to do that nearly as much as I used to. When I was in school, I worked for a retail chain as an intern, and doing that, it happened all the time where the insurance wouldn't pay for medication, whether it was something that wasn't on their formulary, they were trying to make you try something different. Maybe it was they thought that you were refilling it too soon. And it's not something they teach you how to do in pharmacy school. And a lot of people don't realize really the role or the understanding that technicians and pharmacists have. And a lot of times we're just going based on the error messages or the messages that we're receiving on our computer software. And we try to follow up with insurance companies to smooth things out and help patients get the medications they need. It can be very challenging. People
Oh
that come to
yeah,
pick up the medications at their pharmacy, they have a lot of emotions when the medication their doctor just told them they need to take isn't covered by the insurance company. And so just trying to help them, again, a lot of different personalities, trying to help them navigate that. Some people can be cheerful, other people yell, and it just makes it very hard. So trying to kind of talk people through it calmly is a really good
yeah.
skill.
Like, hey, calm
Now,
down. I'm just the middle person. I'm just the middle person.
right, right. And now the place I work, we fill medications for our employees, but we all have the same insurance. So there aren't as
Oh
many issues with it. It's more
yeah.
so, like I said before, if there's a certain medication that the insurance prefers to pay for, they might have a doctor call and kind of talk them through why they need the medication that the patient was prescribed in order to
All
get the
right.
insurance to pay for it.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So let's go during while you were in college. I bet we all had a time in our life where it was too hard, it was too much. Maybe something was going on with family, or we kind of hit rock bottom. How did you get back up, or who helped you during those hard times?
Well, I actually did have a tough time in college, to be honest. Like I
Okay.
said before, I wasn't 100% sure what I wanted to do. And about halfway through my time there, I had some kind of personal issues I was dealing with. My younger brother had joined the Air National Guard and was deployed. And so I was pretty anxious about that. Still kind of unsure what I want to do. I thought about going into engineering instead. Um, I had recently gotten out of a relationship with someone I was dating in high school, and everything just kind of turned around. I started praying about it a lot. I found the first real peace I'd had in a long time by praying to God on a pretty regular basis and just
Yeah.
making time for myself and making time for God, kind of tuning everything out, getting off of Facebook, um, turning off my music, looking at daily reflections, things like that, to kind of reset my life in a way. And during that time, I met the man who's now my husband, and he really helped turn things around. He's been a real support system. I got closer to my parents, again, kind of talking to them about the struggles I was going through. And they were actually
Yeah.
able to relate more. As a teenager, I went through a phase like probably a lot of people watching out there where
Yeah.
your parents don't always, you feel like they don't see you eye to eye, you don't really understand each other that well. I think that's just kind of part of the rite of passage. So for me, going back to it, it was just having good people around me who I knew cared about me, but especially, really taking time for God. And that's what helped me get
That's
through.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah. I heard prayer works. It works.
Yeah, amen.
So, what are your hours as far as, are you kind of flexible, or do you have a set hours you work?
Well, currently I actually work as a part-time pharmacist. It's changed kind of over the course of my career. Initially, I worked Monday through Friday, generally 8 to 4. I had a very good schedule. Then when I had my son, I was blessed with the opportunity to step down to part-time. I actually got to pick my schedule. I had worked Monday through Wednesday, 8 to 4. Now, I'm just kind of as needed pharmacist. I work 1 or 2 days a week, around 7 to 3:30 or somewhere around those hours. So being a pharmacist is a pretty good deal. A lot of the times there's usually in a hospital, there's different shifts that you work. If you work at a bigger
Yeah.
hospital, sometimes you work 7 to 3:30, or you might work night shift pretty consistently. Sometimes you'll work a weekend and you usually rotate with other people. In the retail field, it's usually pretty set hours as to when the pharmacy's open. And if you're lucky, you'll have someone else that'll have overlap with you too. So it can, depending on, what track you choose, you can sometimes choose your schedule. Other times, as long as you work well with your coworkers, you can kind of flip days and cover vacations, things like that.
So, like you said, it depends on what track you're on. Is your schedule based your schedule?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, you did Monday through Wednesday, I believe.
Yeah.
That's amazing, and that you
It
picked
kind of,
that because
like
it
I
works
said,
best
it
for.
was a dream job. It's great for family. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's amazing.
But,
Oh man, if I could do my schedule. Yeah, that's funny because we would say, man, I would have worked from home. I would have worked from home, and now with this whole COVID-19, oh man, we're just working from home. Everything's online, and it's like, oh man. Well, that's awesome. Well, again, I want to thank you. You guys are watching A Walk in My Shoes. We're listening to Liz Tucker. Thank you, Liz, once again for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right now, I'm going to let the audience know if you guys have any questions. Send it in the chat, and then we'll go over as far as questions for Liz. Liz, I have some questions. These
Sure.
are just kind of not they're out of topic. So here we go. This first question actually is brought to us by CWC, Cooking with Claudia. She cooks from a show. She has a show at 3 p.m. on Fridays. So she's making this Friday, she's making kippah. I guess it's a Middle Eastern food. Never heard of it, actually, but I would love to try it. So this question is, what is your favorite food, Liz?
Oh, that's a good question. I'd probably have to say my favorite food is cheesecake. And I love making it with my husband. It's kind of a fun date thing to do too.
You said cheesecake's your favorite food? That's awesome.
Cheesecake is your
Like,
favorite. You don't always have to be healthy all the time.
But it's good for the heart. It's good for the heart. That's funny. I thought it was going to be some sort of like maybe pasta or, some sort of, but no, let's just go to dessert, cheesecake. So you said you make your cheesecake, right?
Yes.
You do? So, like the whole crust, is there do you try different things for the crust? Like experiments? Like, I don't know. I'm just curious.
We haven't experimented a whole lot. I've made it with Oreos before, and I've made it with graham crackers before. I like the classic
Yeah.
cheesecake when we make it ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, that sounds good. Let me put that down. Cheesecake. Okay.
I think a lot of it is actually nostalgic because it ties back. My grandma was one of my favorite people in the world. And growing up, that was kind of one of our treats is she'd make us cherry cheesecake. And so a lot of
All
times
right.
when I have it, I think back to my time with her as a kid.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really good. Okay. Another question. I can never stop smiling when.
I can never stop smiling when I'm playing with my family. I
Oh,
really
yeah.
like spending time with my 2-year-old son, especially when he's running around and just being imaginary. And yesterday, he was out running around telling me that he wanted to make toast for a dragon based on something he had seen. So we were running around calling for a dragon. I love when my husband's able to play with us too. He works a full-time job, so the time that he's able to spend with the family is just a wonderful time. And
Yeah, of
it's just
course. Of
hard
course.
not
Make
to smile.
memories, especially now that the whole COVID-19, we're all inside. You're able to spend more, be more, make more memories. Remember that one time.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Your favorite superhero is.
Oh my goodness.
They had nothing to do
Question.
with a pharmacy. It's just random
I really
questions.
like growing up. I liked the old Batman movies a lot, the
Okay.
old classic ones. And I also like
Yes.
Spider-Man. They'd probably be tied. I don't know that I could pick one or the other. But I really like them
Yeah.
both
Yeah.
growing up.
Spider-Man, Batman. Yeah, I like him. I like Michael Keaton, I believe was his name, that did one of the old or first Spider-Man, not Spider-Man, Batman.
That sounds
Michael,
right.
something
Yeah.
like that. It sounds right. Thank you, Liz. Thank you. Come on. Okay, here we go. If you had one wish, Liz, what would it be?
I
My
think
wish would be.
if I had one wish, it would be that everyone had a good relationship with God.
Oh, all right. That's good. Yeah. How that's deep. Yeah, that's really good. All right. Here we go. We have at the end of the rainbow, there is.
I think there's peace. I think there's peace at the end of the rainbow.
Are you? That's amazing. That is so amazing. So, the guy we interviewed last week, his name was Christopher Hearn, and I asked him the
Yeah.
same question. And so I don't know. Maybe that's what I'm gonna do. When I see a rainbow next time, I'm gonna follow it, and I'm gonna look for that piece. That's awesome. You said that. That is really awesome. Your dream vacation spot.
I've always wanted to go to Ireland. I'd probably say
Really?
Ireland. I do like a lot of other places. My husband and I really like to hike. We've been talking about going to Banff in Canada too. So
Okay.
I'd like to go to
Do you
both of
tra-
them, but peaceful
Do you
life
travel
probably
much?
Ireland. I did for a while. We've slowed down a little bit since we've had our son. I used to go
Yes,
to the
I
Dominican
understand.
Republic on mission trips in college a lot, and I loved the Dominican Republic. I've had the opportunity to go to Europe a couple times with family, and that's been awesome. My husband and I really like to go to Canada for whatever reason, so we've been there a couple times too, and around some of the different states when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I think my favorite trip when I was a kid, I got to hike the Grand Canyon with my family. So I've just always remembered that.
Beautiful. Grand Canyon is breathtaking. So I
Absolutely.
went there once, and I'm taking pictures, and I'm taking the pictures of the same thing over, but I just want to capture the moment. Like I'm just like, you know,
I do this.
like And I look at my phone and I have 20 of the same pictures. I'm like, I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get the whole thing. You could go, I don't know, hiking in the Grand Canyon, since you like hiking. They have that down there. Yeah, that'd
Yeah,
be, well, not with
when
the
I
kid.
was, I think it was about 12, and my brother and I hiked down there to the bottom and back out with my family, and it was such an amazing experience. And I think that's a lot of where I get my love for hiking now, and just having the chance to really like escape from the world around you in a way, and just
Yes.
appreciate, the beauty of
Hiking is
creation.
amazing as far as like, because you hear nature, it's quiet. You look up, it's the sun, the clouds, the green. It really is peaceful. It really is. I love it.
Yeah.
But if you like hiking, because then you have to move and carry your stuff and start your fire or whatever, it has to be a passion you like. So, Vector, do we have any questions for Liz?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
This question is there a difference between a pharmacist and a pharmacist technician? If so, please explain.
Sure. That's a good question. So the question is there a difference between a pharmacist and a pharmacy technician? And if so, what is it? So basically, a pharmacy technician isn't required to go through all the same levels of schooling as a pharmacist is. When I was actually started as a pharmacy technician, didn't require any training outside of what my employer required me to do. And then after I'd worked for a certain amount of time, I had to take basically a competency test. Um, when I went to pharmacy school, the school I picked, Ohio Northern University, it took me 6 years to obtain a doctorate. For other pharmacists, sometimes their education takes 8 years because they get a bachelor's before they get their doctorate in pharmacy. It just depends where you go to school again. Now, some states do require that pharmacy technicians obtain more certifications. It just depends where you practice. But a pharmacist definitely has a lot more education, specifically in terms of medications under their belt. They have the continuing education that's a little bit more intense than what a pharmacy technician would have to do. And they also carry a lot more responsibility than what a pharmacy technician has. As the pharmacist, I'm responsible for all of my technicians that work with me. So I'm liable for any mistakes that they might make because I ultimately am the one that is
Wow.
checking over the medication. So I have to be very careful in everything that I do. There's a kind of a joke that goes around that, pharmacists go to school to learn to count the facts. Well, that's really not the case. In retail, the technician is usually one that actually is counting the medications. The technician is usually the one that is doing the basically typing in to the computer system what the prescriptions are that the doctor sends over, and they deal with the initial insurance flags and help the pharmacist try to resolve some of those insurance issues. And then the pharmacist is the one that deals more with checking to make sure that there aren't medication interactions, checking to see if maybe the doctor's put someone on two different medications that do basically the same thing. They're evaluating different things, like if it's a young female, there's the possibility she might be pregnant, so making sure that the medications are safe. If she is pregnant and counseling them about that, the pharmacist is the one responsible for counseling people about really anything important with their medications. And there are also pharmacy interns that are kind of between. The pharmacy intern is kind of more like a technician that's in school to be a pharmacist. So once they reach so far along in their education, they're able to start doing kind of intermediary tasks that are closer to what a pharmacist would do.
Oh my! Guys, you guys
That's
hear
a
that?
mouthful.
That was great. That was awesome. In fact, go
So
ahead.
ultimately, the pharmacist carries a lot more education, but a lot more responsibility than what a technician does. But they both work
Yeah,
very hard to try to
yeah,
keep
a
their
lot.
patients.
As I'm hearing you, this is a lot of responsibility you have, as far as what you're giving them and how it's, gonna affect them or help them. And then, like you said, if they're pregnant or if they're, I don't know, allergic to something, then you right away can prescribe something else, correct? And, oh man, this is just
Absolutely.
mind blowing.
And some pharmacists even can prescribe medications. For instance, in the hospital, we have different consult agreements, so I can actually dose antibiotics for people. Um, there are certain medications that help people from developing blood clots if they're at certain risk factors. So I can help dose some of those. And other pharmacists, they can help manage other medications. Like in the VA system, the pharmacists help dose the blood pressure medications, diabetes medications, all kinds of different things. So it just really depends what you're interested in and what you want to do. There's a lot of different responsibility and a lot of different opportunities you can have as a pharmacist.
Yeah, it is. Oh, that's awesome. That is so awesome that you just like, yeah, I can do it. I know it. I can tell you what and no and yes. Oh man, let's take a timeout, guys. Let it soak in. Let it soak in. Go ahead, Vector. Go with.
Next question is, if you had to sell this job to a youth, what is your favorite part about being a pharmacist?
That's good.
Ooh, that's a really good question.
That is.
I think my favorite part of being a pharmacist is that I have the opportunity to help a variety of people. So I get to help work with doctors, and I get to help work with nurses primarily in the hospital, but I also get to talk to my patients. And so it's a really neat opportunity to meet people where they are, no matter what their education level is, no matter what their background is, and just to try to find a way that I can help get everyone on the same page and to try to take care of people the best I can. I guess second to that, my other thing that I really enjoy about being a pharmacist is that my position is so flexible, especially since I have done the additional training to be able to be a clinical pharmacist on the floor. I've basically been able to tailor my position to what I want it to be in my last couple of jobs. So it's just one of those things that sometimes is unheard of that I've just been very blessed with the flexibility to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Flexibility is always good. Just be able to just change schedule, maybe work less or work more, take time off to go hiking.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead, Vector.
So in the same vein, no pun intended, what is something that you hate about your job or dislike?
Okay, so the question is, what is something that I hate or dislike about my job? There's honestly nothing that I hate about my job. To be honest, I always try to stay very positive about my job. I enjoy going to work.
That's good.
Um,
Yes.
I think the only thing I would maybe dislike about the position is something that's not necessarily just specific to pharmacy. I've found that a lot of times people don't understand what other people in other positions do. And what I mean by that, so if you're in the main pharmacy and you're calling a nurse trying to take care of a problem, or calling a physician trying to take care of a problem, you don't really understand what they're right
Yes.
in the middle of at the moment.
Uh-huh.
And they don't understand what you're in the middle of. And you're all trained with different backgrounds. So sometimes personalities clash, or sometimes things don't come across in the right way. And it's a little bit of a challenge. So again, in anything that you do, I just really encourage you to stay positive, to take a step back, try to learn what the other people do. That's one of the great things of being a clinical pharmacist is I've been able to work alongside nurses and sometimes doctors. I get to really see what they do. So just take time to try to put yourself in the other person's shoes and, see what they're going through. So you can
That's good.
together.
That's really good. Going into that mindset of being positive, of being so, and that changes everything. Because I know, like, with
Absolutely.
work, going into that positive mentality, like, I've noticed people complain, or people, are, about passengers, or, where I work at, and then, but with that mindset, they're always saying, hey, you know what? You're always positive. You're always, and just, so, sorry. My question is, what is it that you've noticed as far as the people you work with? Like something that if you can help them, or if you can, like you said, yes, in a mindset, but what is something that they keep Like, look, if you just knew this, or if you just would change this, would actually help you better?
Yeah.
Or is that a question?
That's a great question. I would say the biggest thing I see really anywhere I've worked, in different schools I've gone to, is seems like our culture is just really tied up in things like Facebook and Twitter, and feeling like people expect them to be a certain way. A lot of times people seem to be negative at, hey, I don't want to go to work, or hey, this person did this and I can't believe they said this. Well, try to look at it differently, try to be positive, try to go to work with a smile, and, just do what you can do. And really helping people understand that has really turned things around.
Mm-hmm.
I actually was very blessed when I was doing my residency. I had the opportunity to obtain a teaching certification. So I got to work with some of the pharmacy students after I had graduated. And then since then, I've actually been a preceptor. So I take on students at the hospital, and they're allowed to follow me around. They get to see what I do. They get to help me out with the patients, and just really being able to guide them in that, help them to understand, you're your own person. Take the time to work hard, take the time to do things that, will help advance you in your career, to make a good impact on people, take the time to network, allow other people to help you, allow people to give you constructive feedback, and don't
Mm-hmm.
take offense at it. Just
take it bad. Yeah.
Take their advice. So it's been an awesome opportunity to work with different kinds of people and just try to help them to see, what their goals are and how we can work together as a team to help other people.
Yeah, because it's like another family. When you're working with them, you get to know them, their personalities, what they like, what they don't like. Like, days you're
Absolutely.
like, oh man, here we go.
Yeah.
It's one of those
now,
days.
when you go to work, definitely the people around you become a second family. So you might as well, learn about other people and take the time to put a smile on your face, see how you can help other people.
Of course. So speaking of family, so when these patients, I bet they're like, you get comfortable, or not comfortable, the word is they're frequent. They become what's the word? So you get to know them.
Frequent flyers.
Right? Frequent flyers. So they come, and so you're like, hey, Bill, how are you? So you build like relations with, right? Correct?
Yeah. Yes, that's correct.
So has there ever been a time that somebody has, that surprised you, like one of your patients just said, here, I want to give you a card or something, or is that not something that happens?
Oh, that's a good question. Over the years, there have been kind of different things. You have to be careful in pharmacy because you're not really allowed to take gifts from anyone. The same as if you're a physician, you can't accept big things. When I worked at my previous hospital and I was in the ICU a lot, we would get cards from some of the patients, and sometimes they'd be, really personal, just saying thank you, or their families saying thank you, and they'd list off, the people they remember their names, and so that was always very, very touching. Sometimes they'd post them in the break room. When I worked as an intern at the retail pharmacy, sometimes we'd have people that would bring us in cookies, different things like that, or would ask if they could buy us lunch or something that, we wouldn't usually accept, but it'd be kind of a nice surprise, a nice way if people would say thank you sometimes.
Yeah, that's awesome, because and it means so much when they, like, I go there frequent and they know my name and they're like, hey, Daniel. It's just like automatically it connects this bond, and I just feel like I'm not like defensive, or how you're just more relaxed. You're just more like, hey, it's good to see you. Yes, I'm back again. We need, and how's the family? And it makes things more smooth, I guess, to go. And it means a lot to us, because you're probably busy, and they're probably just like, hey, what's going on? And I have a question. Do you know if it's going to rain tomorrow? What in the world? Why are you asking me that? But taking time to answer that, and, it means a lot for that person. It really does. Oh, man. Well, Liz, thank you for joining us. Is there anything you want to say? Anything you want to to somebody, or to someone, something?
Well, I guess kind of the last thing I just wanted to say is just I want to reiterate again, it's okay, to whoever's listening, it's okay if you don't know what you want to do. It's okay to change your mind down the line. Just kind of look and see, what's important to you. You don't have to do what your friends are doing or what your friends tell you to do. Just really take the time to reflect. If you're religious, pray about it. See where you want to go. Try to work hard. Networking is a big deal. Be careful on social networking, things like Facebook. Just keep in mind your employers will look at that when they're looking to hire you. Just do your best to reach out to whoever's around you. If you do decide to go to college, use your resources, talk to your professors, talk to your club leaders, different things like that. A good work ethic really opens the door to a lot of things in the future, opens up a lot of different career opportunities, and never give up, no matter where you are in life, no matter what is going on. If you have personal things that are going on in your life, if you have things you feel like you can't deal with, if you are struggling at school, if you feel like you maybe didn't get that GPA you wanted to, and you're not sure if you can do what you want, just never give up. Just believe in yourself. Keep yourself surrounded by people who care about you. Pray, like I said, if you're spiritual, and just really set your mind to it, and you can do anything. And for anyone out there who's maybe interested in pursuing pharmacy, you guys can help give them my contact information. I'd be happy to talk to anybody, help them figure out some more things, give them any guidance they want, answer any other questions. So I just really want to thank you guys for allowing me to be here with you today, and for all the questions. And
no, thank you so much, Liz. This was it just changes, my perspective as when I go, and it's amazing. I'm still soaking it in. I'm still, as far as what you said, what you do, and what you know, and oh man, it's amazing. I like it. Thank you so much, Liz, for joining us and taking time. Have a great time. Have a great day. Have a good life.
Well, thank you,
guys. Thank you for watching. Yes, you guys were watching A Walk in My Shoes with Liz Tucker. Thank you guys for joining us. We'll see you guys next week.